Hello CBOQ family. Today is June 22nd. I hope that you are enjoying the longer daylight hours and getting some chances to get out into the great outdoors. So, what's happening in your CBOQ family this week? There have been lots of changes in all of our provinces' COVID saga over the last couple of weeks. So you can find out all of the updates and everything that you need to know on our website at baptist.ca/COVID-19. We continue to update that regularly, so you should be able to find what you need there. As well, every Tuesday our pastors continue to meet at 11 a.m. for prayer. So if you haven't joined yet, I really encourage you to join. It's been a rich and meaningful experience for a lot of our pastors and feeling connected to one another in a time of isolation. As well, if you've been longing for summer camp, Camp Kwasind has an online campfire. That's on Saturday, June 27th at 3 p.m. And you can save your spot by the fireside at www.kwasind.com/campfire. Also, for high school students who are transitioning into university or whatever comes next, Transition 101, which helps high school students connect with a new faith community. They will be releasing a prayer video and a guide available on June 28th. And you can find out more about that at www.transition101.ca/prayer. And finally, on July 8th, the CBOQ Diversity Team will be hosting 2 online conversations designed to give you a chance to hear stories about race from your Canadian Baptist family and enjoy some meaningful discussions. We had some similar conversations at Assembly last year, that's 2019, and we're excited to continue and learn more together. We'll be opening the sessions with the opportunity to hear from special guests and then continue on into smaller breakout groups for deeper conversation and some question and answer opportunities. So we hope you'll join us and take what you learned back to your congregations to continue CBOQ's and our church family's commitment to reflecting God's diverse kingdom. And along those lines, it's time for our story of the week from our incredible family of churches. Hello, I'm here with Ashley Montague, who goes to Mount Hamilton Baptist Church, and she has agreed to share with us a little bit of what is happening in her church family. Hi, Ashley.
Hi, how are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. Thanks for having me here today and inviting me to share with you all.
Yeah, we're excited to hear from you. So can you tell us a little bit about what happened recently at Mount Hamilton Church, Baptist Church?
Sure, not a problem. So following everything that's been happening in the world around Black Lives Matter and the deaths of, the lives that we've lost of so many Black lives, Pastor Leanne reached out to the members in the church who are Black and have been with the church for quite some time now, and asked if we would love to engage in what was titled MHBC Listens. This was to provide an opportunity for us to share our experiences, to share how we might be feeling during this time, to share our challenges while the rest of the church listens. And that in itself was beautiful. It allowed, and in all of this, I was the facilitator of this discussion. And it allowed for everyone else to be on mute, and only the speakers who were sharing their messages were the ones to be off mute and talk without interruption. If anybody wanted to ask questions, they were able to send it to me through the chat, and I would be the one asking the question on behalf of the rest of the congregation. That in itself, I felt was very powerful, because even hearing stories, you just be sympathetic and say sweet things, and this allowed for us to just internalize what was being said.
That's great. Maybe you could share with us a few of the questions that were asked.
So some of the questions that were asked, I'll share a few, and this one in particular was a really good question, because I'm sure a lot of people have this on their minds, which is, what do people of color want to be referred to as? And is it persons of color? Is it Black? Is it African American? And the answer is Black. You know, we just want to be referred to as Black, because if we use the term persons of color, that encompasses everyone who is not white. So if you're meaning to talk about a Black person or to a Black person, just call them Black. The terminology African American is perfect for some of the Black folks in America, as there's historical context behind that. But in general, Black is fine. Another question we had was, sometimes you go to church retreats or we're having a church event and it seems like all the Black people are congregating together. It may appear to seem as segregation. So the question was, do you want us to approach you and join in on those conversations, or do you want us to just leave you alone? And I thought that, wow, this was a really good question, because I'm sure it may seem like that. It may seem like we want to be over there off to the side, but that's not it at all. And the way that persons answered this in the session was, one, sometimes like attracts like. And there might just be commonalities to that person, why they're standing there talking to them. So the example was, if it was another youth and I'm a youth, I might go and speak to the youth versus going and talking to an older person, because that's where the comfort is. Somebody also responded and said, well, you don't see us questioning when a group of white people are together. If we want to come and talk to you, we're going to come and talk to you. And I thought that was just the perfect, candid way of responding to that, because for sure, why is it now a question because a group of Black people are speaking together? Like, is it okay for me to go over there and speak, when we don't question that in the opposite way, right? And in the context of Mount Hamilton Baptist Church, like, I come from a family of 6, so already we look like a lot. So if we're sitting together, it might seem like we're a lot, but they're my family. And then my aunt goes there, and then my aunt's best friend. So it's like, we see that, and that's another auntie. So it might seem like we're all congregating, but it's because we're family, right? And I guess instead of assuming or making yourself feel uncomfortable or whatever, just if you want to say hi, go and say hi. Yeah, so those were some of the questions that were asked.
That seems like profoundly good advice. If you want to say hi, go and say hi.
Yeah.
Really, so it sounds in a way like, in a sense, you're really helping people to be able to ask those questions. It's the things you really wish that you could ask, but you're kind of afraid to ask, and creating space for those questions to be answered. Mm-hmm. So were there moments where you felt encouraged by your church community?
Oh, for sure. I think the whole event in itself was an encouraging thing for everyone who's known us. A lot of us have been there for years, like teens plus years in that church family. And so, giving us an opportunity to share our perspectives and to share our pain and just be with us. I had found a quote that said something along the lines of, sometimes we just need a listening ear, and that alone is comfort. So I was just encouraged at the comfort that we were receiving just by people being willing to listen and to hear the stories of that was shared. Mm-hmm.
That's really great. So is there something else, like a story that you'd like to share, or maybe something that would help some of our other churches that are considering a way forward, something that you think would be really helpful for them to consider too?
That's a good question. I definitely think knowledge is power, and creating these kind of safe spaces already, already being a part of a church, that's already a safe space within itself, but to create that space for people to really learn what is going on with the person sitting beside them, I think is a magical thing. And then another space to learn about that, and inviting people into maybe a Zoom session like this to talk, to teach, so that people can learn from those who are educated on that subject matter. Also being able to go out and find right now online, there are so many resources in terms of books, in terms of movies, in terms of research, statistics that we can all go out there and learn from. And I would invite everyone to go and do so. Something that Mount Hamilton is doing over the summer is we're going to be doing something like pods. That's what we call them, weekly weekly sessions where we meet. And we're providing a learning opportunity. So, in 1 week, it will be somebody doing a workshop, talking to these different terminologies, like what is BIPOC, which is Black, Indigenous, Peoples of Colors. What does it mean to be a true ally? Why do we want to unfund the police? Like, just all these terminologies that you're currently hearing out there. Maybe it's good to invite somebody to speak to that so that everybody can understand and be on that same level. Like, what is systemic racism? And for some people, they may not be able to see that. It's only the people experiencing it and living through it that can truly understand that. So if you can get somebody in there that will be able to speak to that, I think that would be great. Another thing we're doing, because we have somebody in the church who is currently doing this for their thesis, is exploring what the Bible says about race and slavery. And I think that would be a really interesting session. Another thing is, what do you say to your children? How do you have these discussions with your children? And again, we're having people lead that discussion with the parents of Mount Hamilton Baptist Church. Moving forward after that, okay, we've learned, so what does this mean for the church moving forward? Let's create plans. Let's talk about inclusivity. And also not forgetting our Indigenous brothers and sisters, because that is the Canadian history. And, they too have faced and are facing injustices.
Yes.
So,
yeah, we've interviewed Marcia Martel Brown a couple of times, and she was part of the 60s scoop. So that was very eye-opening. Certainly for me, I was completely shocked and horrified about what our own government did. And
right.
Great for you to bring that up, because yes, that is a big part of this broader discussion.
Exactly. So that would kind of be the advice that I would give. And I was speaking with somebody about this the other day, actually, and they made mention of that sometimes it starts with the leadership within the church. So what could we do differently from a leadership level to ensure that there's that inclusivity? Does that mean that we're going to hire somebody who's a person of color? And it could be Black, it could be Indigenous, it could be Asian, it could, whatever, as the representation to start challenging maybe some of the rules that are in place, some of the practices that the church has, to bring in a more diverse crowd into our worship spaces, that it starts from the top down. And what are the beliefs of those who are in those leadership roles, and how does that trickle down, right? So sometimes it does start from the top up. So maybe taking some time to really reassess that within the church as well. Mm-hmm.
Well, that's great. Thank you so much. If there's something you wanted to add, this is your chance to go ahead and add, but otherwise I'll just thank you for sharing, and I hope we get to talk to you again.
Oh, thank you so much, Jacqueline. It was nice being able to share here today.
So thanks again for watching, and as always, don't forget to keep praying for your sister church. Thanks, and have a great week. See you next week.